Welcome to Cloud Tech Nexus Tutorials. In this tutorial, you will be shown how to install, configure, and use FileZilla FTP Server. Let's go into what FileZilla is and what it can do. FileZilla is a free software solution for hosting and sharing files on your own server. The program comes as a server-side and client-side application that can be customized and accessed in a variety of ways. There are other protocols, but we will focus on FTP in this tutorial. Economical solution over a paid service to access backup and shared files remotely. More private than a paid service, but only as secure as you make it. Setup can be tricky for first-time users, but this tutorial will guide you from start to finish. On-premise servers may require some administration from time to time, such as modifying server settings or rebooting. The more computers or devices connect to your FTP server and actively transfer files, the slower your internet connection can get. In this video tutorial, we will focus on setup from scratch, later using the client. The tips will be mentioned in later tutorials. The three typical networking hardware setup will work with the ADSL modem and wireless router, cable modem and wireless router, or all-in-one cable modem wireless router. In this tutorial, we will focus on the cable modem and wireless router model. When FileZilla Server is installed and configured on your server or workstation, leave the interface open, but be sure to secure the system. FileZilla FTP Server can be accessed by many hardware devices and platforms that have an internet connection. By the end of this tutorial, I will show you how to access FTP Server on PC, Mac, Linux, and iPad. Steps in the following order. Check computer name and group status. Start, right-click, Computer Properties or Windows plus pause break key. Change settings. Update computer description. This can be whatever you like. Change. Computer is on workgroup and not on a domain. The computer name is FTP Server 1. Cancel. Start menu, search Windows Firewall. Click Windows Firewall. Turn Windows Firewall on or off. If Windows Firewall is on, be sure to turn it off. OK. Launch your third-party antivirus program if applicable and disable the firewall as well. The firewall will be turned back on later. Right-click network icon, open Network and Sharing Center. Local area connection. Details. Verify your IPv4 address. Open your web browser and log into your router settings. See your router documentation on how to access router web page if needed. Navigate to the selection regarding port forwarding. Some routers have a dedicated FTP port that can be assigned. If not, you can create one. Let's create a forward port 21. Forward IPv4 address. Save settings. Open a new tab. FileZilla-project.org. Download FileZilla Server. Download now link. Save. Save. Open folder. Double-click FileZilla Server Installer. I agree. Next. 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 Install. Close. Checkbox always connect to the server. Okay. FileZilla server is now installed but needs to be configured. Bring up Windows Firewall. Allow a program or feature through Windows Firewall. Allow another program. Select FileZilla server interface. Add. Checkbox Home, Work, Private, and Public. Allow another program. Browse. Navigate to FileZilla installation folder. Click FileZilla Server, open. Add. Double check and make sure FileZilla Server and interface is checkboxed. OK. Add FileZilla exception to your third-party firewall if applicable. Check your third-party firewall documentation on how to allow program exceptions. Navigate to the same two paths as Windows Firewall exception in previous step. FileZilla server.exe is port 21. FileZilla server interface.exe is port 14147. When finished adding your third-party firewall exception for FileZilla, you can enable firewall save and exit if applicable. If you don't have third-party firewall installed or prefer to use Windows Firewall, you can enable it. The best practice is to use one firewall. In FileZilla server interface, edit, groups, add. Name your first group administrators. OK. Add. Name next group standard users. OK. Select administrators group and add a description that administrators group has top level permissions. Select shared folders. Add. Navigate to a shared folder that administrators group will have access to. OK. Checkboxing all files and directories will grant full control permissions. Select standard users. Add. Navigate to a shared folder that standard users group will have access to. OK. Only selecting the read, write checkboxes only will grant limited permissions. Users cannot delete files, create, or delete folders. Click General, select standard users group, and add a description that standard users group has limited level permissions. OK. Create users and add to groups. Edit users. Add. Add administrator account and select administrators group. OK. Enable account and password, then create a password. Uncheck bypass user limit and force SSL. Fill in description. Select shared folders, add. Navigate to a shared folder that administrator's group has access to. Okay. As set as home directory, an H symbol will appear indicating default directory access. If all checkboxes are checked, then you will have full control permissions. Add. Add standard users account and select standard users group. Okay. Enable account and password, then create a password. Uncheck bypass user limit and force SSL. Fill in description. Select shared folders, add. Navigate to a shared folder that standard users group has access to. Okay. Only selecting read and write checkboxes only will grant limited permissions. Users cannot delete files, create, or delete folders. As set as home directory, H symbol will appear indicating default directory access. Okay. FileZilla server interface, edit settings. General settings, welcome message. Select default text, delete and paste your own greeting. Scroll down to SSL TLS settings and select it. Checkbox enable FTP over SSL. Click generate new certificate. Server name must be filled out with new certificate. Server address is the public IP address of the FTP server. Open a new tab in your web browser. t1shopper.com/portscan. Public IP address is discovered. Copy info and type in new server certificate with other details. Click Browse button. Rename certificate and save it in root of C drive. Click Generate Certificate. OK. OK. Start menu, search, power options. Click Power Options. Change when computer sleeps. Change put the computer to sleep to never and save changes. Double check to make sure change settings took effect. Close. Go to T1 Shopper site to check if port 21 is working. Use either the checkbox or type it in the scan text box. Red text means it's working. Restart. After computer is restarted and logged into the FTP server, service should already be running, no need to launch it. Open web browser, go to t1shopper.com/portscan. Test port 21 again. Port 21 still works after restart. Start menu, right click, computer properties, change settings. Change. To add to a domain, change dynamic to static IP address. This step is optional if you want to add FTP server to a domain. Right-click network icon, open network and sharing center. Local area connection. Details. IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway is needed. Properties. Select TCP IPv4 properties. Fill in IP information from network connection details. Type in the system IP address, tab key, type in default gateway. Open a new tab in your web browser, log into the router. Log into your router if you've already port forwarded your DNS server. Find DNS server IP address or log into the DNS server to find IP address. Once these steps are complete, if you click OK, you will be able to join this PC to a domain with a static IP address assigned. Or you can fill out the default gateway IP address into the preferred DNS server to make static without joining PC to a domain. In this demo, we will not join this PC to a domain, so let's cancel. A static IP address will not change if you have a power outage, reset, or change your router. A static IP address is recommended. If an unauthorized user tries to log into the FTP server, you can backlog and block the IP address. Right-click, copy the unauthorized user's IP address. Edit settings. IP filter. Right-click, paste. OK. For automatic banning, edit settings. Auto ban, checkbox, enable automatic bans. Change fields below to enable automatic ban policy. OK. If you are locked out due to ban, you can remove the ban, edit settings. Auto ban, uncheck enable automatic bans. OK. FileZilla server is now ready for testing on client machines and devices. Open a web browser on client machine. FileZillaProject.org. Download FileZilla client. Download now link. Download file. Save. Save. Open folder. Double-click setup icon and run. I agree. Next. Checkbox desktop icon. Next. Next. Install. Finish. OK. File Site Manager. Host, type in FTP server public IP address. Port 21. Protocol, FTP file transfer protocol. Encryption, use plain FTP. Login type, ask for password. User, let's try standard username account. Connect. Enter your password. OK. The standard user account is logged in. Use Quick Connect if you have already logged in with the previous session. Now log in with the administrator account in the same session. OK. Notice folder access difference between the two accounts. It's exactly what is specified during FTP server configuration. I'm only showing two tabs in this demo to show the difference in access between the standard account and the administrator account. Multiple tabs are useful if you are connecting to multiple FTP servers. Click Disconnect button to close connection and exit FileZilla client. To access the FTP server through the web browser, Open web browser and type the FTP server public IP address. Log in with your credentials. In the web browser address, you can type in the following for faster access. To map to an FTP server, open Windows Explorer. Select Computer, Map Network Drive, connect to website, next. Choose the custom network location, next. Type in the FTP server public IP address, next. Uncheck Login anonymously, type in an account name, next. Give the connection a name, next. Finish. Log in with your credentials. Access is the same, just laid out differently. You can log in with a different account as well. On the Mac, you can access the FTP server without FileZilla by selecting Go Connect to Server. Type in the FTP server public IP address, connect. Log in with your credentials. Connected successfully. Open your web browser. FileZilla-project.org. Download FileZilla client. Download now. Open downloaded file. Double-click FileZilla. Open. OK. This time, instead of using Site Manager, enter login credentials, FTP public IP, port number directly into the interface, then press Enter. Do not remember passwords? OK. Connected successfully. Disconnect, close. On Linux, Ubuntu, or other supported versions of Linux, you can access the FTP server by selecting Software Center. In the search box, type FileZilla, enter. Install. Enter credentials, authenticate. Double-click FileZilla icon. OK. Enter login credentials, FTP public IP, and port number directly into the interface, then press Enter. Connected successfully. Disconnect, close. On iOS, you can access FTP Server by downloading an FTP client from the App Store. As of this recording, FileZilla does not have a mobile client, but any other third-party mobile client can work. We will use FTP Ready. Search for FTP Ready Lite in the App Store and install. Open. Enter login credentials directly into the interface. Checkbox Save to Bookmarks. Connect. Connected successfully. Third-party mobile FTP client interfaces vary, but the access will be the same based on permissions. Other FTP clients will be covered in other tutorials. Log out. In this tutorial, we have covered configure firewall settings, port forward, download FTP server, client, and connect to FileZilla FTP server. Feedback and comments welcome. Thanks for watching.